I never should have stayed after he left. It was one of those late summer evenings where the air was too warm for a hoodie, but too personal for bare skin. I dropped by my friend's house to return his charger, some dumb excuse, but he'd left to meet someone without telling me. His mom had opened the door instead. Mrs. Carter. God, I used to call her that like she wasn't a real person. Like she was just the quiet woman who made breakfast when we crashed at their place. But tonight, she was in black leggings, a worn college tee hanging off one shoulder, and her hair was up in this messy bun that made her look tired, soft, and real. "You can wait inside if you want," she said, stepping aside. "He shouldn't be long." I nodded, but I already knew I wasn't here for him. The house was silent except for the whir of the ceiling fan. She poured a glass of wine and offered me water. I said yes, just to keep the silence moving. I sat on the couch, tried not to fidget. She leaned against the counter, holding her glass like it was a break between breaths. "So what's new with you?" she asked. Her voice had that quiet smoothness, not flirty, just gentle. I shrugged. "Same stuff. Work. Trying to figure out what I'm even doing." She smiled a little at that. "That doesn't stop, by the way. The figuring out part." Then it happened. I don't know what made her look. Maybe it was the way I was gripping the glass too tight, but her eyes flicked to my hands. Just for a second. Not casual. Not innocent. Her gaze lingered. Then her mouth curled slightly, like she surprised herself. She tilted her head. "You have really capable hands." I looked down, laughed awkwardly. Thanks." She didn't break eye contact. Didn't laugh with me. "I bet you're good with them," she said. Voice low, almost absent-minded. Like she hadn't meant to say it out loud. Silence. She blinked. Her lips parted, maybe to take it back, maybe to make it worse. But the moment just sat there, thick and breathing between us. I felt something in my chest, a flicker of electricity I didn't have a name for. It wasn't teenage lust. It was heavier than that, like being seen without a filter. I don't remember what I said next. Probably nothing. Just looked at her the way you look at something fragile before you touch it. She turned away first. Poured more wine, even though her glass was full. "You don't have to stay, by the way, if he's not back soon." "I don't mind," I said. Too fast. Too honest. She nodded without looking at me. The fan kept spinning. The room was too quiet. I watched her shoulders, the way one rose slightly higher, tense. Like she was trying to keep something inside her body. Her fingers tapped against the counter, then stopped. She glanced at the door, then at her phone, then at me. And then, just before either of us could say something stupid or right or both, her phone lit up. A message. I saw the preview. "He doesn't know you stayed." Her jaw tightened. She didn't look at me right away. But when she did, it wasn't Mrs. Carter who looked back. It was her. And I wasn't her son's friend anymore. I was something else entirely. She didn't open the message. Just turned the phone face down, like the words could disappear if she couldn't see them. But her jaw was still tight, and I could see her chest rising a little faster. Like the room was shrinking around her, or she'd suddenly realized how close we were. Me on the couch, her against the counter, nothing but empty space and unfinished sentences between us. I tried to act normal. Whatever that means, when you're alone with the one person you're not supposed to think about like this. "I can head out," I said, standing too fast. Didn't mean to make things weird. She looked up quickly. "You didn't." A beat. Then softer. It was already weird. "Long before you got here." Her voice cracked a little on long, like something old was surfacing. I sat back down slowly. "What do you mean?" She hesitated. Her hand wrapped around the wine glass again, but she didn't sip, just held it, stared into it. "When you grow older," she said, "you get used to being looked at without being seen. People stop asking how you really are. You become someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's background." Her words hit harder than I expected. I didn't speak. She finally glanced at me, and this time, there was no soft smile. There's this quiet panic sometimes, when someone looks at you like you're still real. That last part wasn't casual. She meant me. I didn't know what to say. My heart was somewhere in my throat. And maybe it was selfish or naive or reckless, but I wanted to be that someone. The one who saw her. Not as my friend's mom. Just her. I thought about everything I shouldn't be thinking. The way her voice dropped when she was tired, the curve of her shoulder when she leaned against the kitchen doorway, the little scar above her eyebrow I never noticed until tonight. And then the worst thought. If I touched her right now, I don't think she'd pull away. She suddenly sat down beside me on the edge of the couch. Not close, just near enough that I could smell the faint perfume clinging to her shirt. Something floral and tired. She didn't look at me. I married young, she said, voice thin. Too young to know who I really was. And now, she trailed off. You're still figuring it out, I said gently. She finally looked over at me. Her eyes searched mine like she wasn't sure what she'd find. Or maybe she already knew and just needed to see it confirmed. I'm sorry, she whispered. This isn't fair to you. I didn't answer. Instead, my hand brushed against hers, barely. Not bold, not confident, just there. She didn't move, didn't flinch. Her pinky touched mine, almost by accident. But it stayed there. And in that single point of contact, the air changed again. Not louder, just heavier. Like something had been silently agreed upon, and neither of us wanted to be the first to admit it. The sound of the garage door opening hit like a gunshot. We both froze. Her pinky was still touching mine. Her body stiffened. Then she blinked, like snapping out of something, and pulled her hand back slowly, as if burning herself on something hot. Shit, she whispered, standing too quickly. I heard footsteps outside. Her husband? My friend? My stomach twisted, and I had no idea if it was panic or regret or something worse. The feeling that I didn't want to move. She turned to me. You need to go. Yeah, I said, but didn't move either. The door inside creaked open. It was her son's voice, my friend's voice. Mom. She swallowed hard. In here. She looked at me then, not with anger, not with fear, but with this raw, aching look like she wanted time to rewind just 10 minutes. Like the softness between us had no right existing in daylight. He walked into the room, phone in hand, earbuds half in. Yo, he nodded at me. Didn't know you were still here. Yeah, I said, forcing a casual tone. Just came to drop your charger. Got stuck talking. Mrs. Carter. No, not Mrs. Carter. She smiled like it meant nothing. We were just catching up. She didn't look at me again. I grabbed my keys, heart pounding, and made some excuse about needing to head out. My friend barely noticed. He was scrolling through something, already moving toward the kitchen. But she stood frozen near the couch, wine glass still full, like the whole night had been paused right where it cracked open. I was halfway to the front door when she called out quietly, "Wait." I stopped. He was in the kitchen now, headphones back in, rummaging for something. She stepped closer, her voice low but sharp. This can't happen again. I nodded. Okay. But we both knew it wasn't that simple. Her eyes flicked to my mouth for half a second before she caught herself. And then, the worst moment, I leaned in. Just enough. I didn't kiss her. Didn't even try. But I wanted to. And she didn't move. Her breath caught. For one sharp heartbeat. We just existed there, locked in something we couldn't name. I could feel it, that magnetic wrongness that felt so right I almost said her name. Then she whispered, barely audible, "Don't make this harder." I stepped back. Too late. I opened the door and left. The air outside hit like cold water. But I didn't walk away fast. Because I knew I'd be back. Because I knew, she knew, that this wasn't over. Not even close. I told myself I wouldn't go back. That I'd give her space. That I'd forget the way her voice sounded when it cracked on my name. But I was at their door again the next night. Not to see my friend. Not really. He'd texted me to come by, said we'd watch the game, but I barely heard him when he opened the door. I was already scanning the hallway behind him, listening for her voice. She didn't come out. Not even a glance from the kitchen. It was like she'd vanished. I tried to focus on the screen, pretend the tension wasn't making the room feel a degree too warm. My friend talked about some girl he was texting, laughed at his own messages, threw chips at me. I laughed back, played along. But every time there was a lull, every silence between commercials or conversation, my eyes drifted to the hallway. It wasn't until an hour in that I heard her footsteps. I didn't turn, just listened. The sound of her moving down the stairs, then stopping behind the wall that separated the living room from the rest of the house. And I knew. She was standing there, watching. I felt her before I saw her. My friend got a call and stepped out onto the porch, leaving me alone on the couch. 10 seconds passed, then 20. I didn't move. And then she stepped into the room, wearing a sweater too big, sleeves covering half her hands. Her hair was loose now, damp from a shower, and she didn't look at me right away. But I looked at her like I'd never stopped. "I thought you weren't coming down," I said softly. "I wasn't," she replied. But she stayed. She crossed her arms, stayed on the other side of the room like distance would save us. "I've been thinking," she said, "and it's all wrong. All of this." I nodded slow. "I know. I'm married. You're—" She didn't finish. "Not a kid," I said. She looked up sharply. "You think this is about your age?" I stood. "Isn't it?" "No," she snapped. Then quieter. "It's about the fact that I feel something when you're in the room, and I hate that I do." We stared at each other, breaths uneven. Something breaking loose between us. Something that had been held back too long. "I can't stop thinking about you," I said. She flinched like I'd hit her. "Don't. I mean it." Her eyes glossed, and her voice dropped into something that scared me more than anything. I wake up and think about what I didn't do. I walk through my house like it's full of landmines. And when I see you, I want— She caught herself, bit her lip. "What?" I stepped closer. "Say it." She shook her head. "No. Because if I do," I was right in front of her now, inches away. "I'll never stop," she whispered. My hand brushed her cheek. Her eyes fluttered closed. And then, just before our mouths met, the front door swung open. Her son's voice cut through the air. "Hey, did I miss anything?" We jumped apart. Too late. Her son didn't notice. Not then. He flopped onto the couch, talking about the score, the last play he missed. I backed away fast, tried to act like I'd just gotten up to stretch. Her hands were clenched at her sides, face tight, like she couldn't breathe right. We barely looked at each other for the rest of the night. I left early, said I had work in the morning. Didn't even meet her eyes when I passed her in the hallway. She didn't stop me. But the next day, everything exploded. It started with a text from her. Just 5 words. "Did you tell anyone anything?" I stared at it for a full minute before replying. "No." "What?" No answer. Then my phone rang. It was her son. Voice sharp, clipped. "Did something happen between you and my mom?" I froze. "What are you talking about?" "She's been weird. Distant. And my dad's been home early every day this week. Now he's sleeping in the guest room." My mouth went dry. I didn't say anything. I managed. He sighed. "Whatever. Sorry. Just forget it." But I couldn't, because something had changed. By nightfall, I knew the truth. She called me. Her voice was shaking. "He read my messages," she said. "My husband. The ones I never sent you. Drafts I didn't delete." I sat down, heart pounding. "What did they say?" "They said I missed your voice. That I felt something I wasn't supposed to. That if I had met you 10 years later," her voice cracked. "He's threatening to tell our son. Unless I agreed to fix it. End it. Be who I was before." Silence. I couldn't speak. Couldn't think. "And I was ready to do it," she said. "To let it go?" But then he said something I can't forgive. "What?" "He said you'd lose everything too. That you'd never be welcome in this house again. That he'd make sure your name came up dirty if you ever tried to see me." The room spun. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," she whispered, "I can't go back to pretending." Another silence. This one heavier than all the ones before. "I'll tell him the truth," she said. "That I let it happen. That I wanted it. That I— Don't," I said too fast. She paused. "You don't need to protect me," I added, quieter now. "Just tell me what you want. Not what you're scared of." She didn't speak for a long time. When she did, her voice was small. "I want to stop hiding. From everyone. Including myself." The line went quiet again. A new silence. Not heavy, sharp. Unforgiving. And then she said it. I told him I'm leaving. My heart stopped. What? I packed a bag. I'm not staying in this house with a man who doesn't love me and never asks how I feel. I'm done disappearing inside his silence. And then, there was a knock at my door. I opened it. It was her. And she was crying. She didn't speak when I opened the door. Her face was streaked with tears, mascara smudged beneath her eyes, hair pulled back like she'd done it in a rush. In one hand, a bag. In the other, her phone, still lit up, still buzzing. Probably him. I stepped aside. She walked in without asking. The door clicked shut behind us, and with it, the life we both knew. She set her bag down by the couch, exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for days. I shouldn't be here, she said. I know. I have no plan. No place to stay. Nothing figured out. I nodded. Still no. She looked up, eyes wide and red. So why aren't you telling me to leave? I swallowed hard. Because I'd be lying. The silence that followed didn't feel empty. It felt like every version of her I'd ever imagined, the careful one, the kind one, the broken one, was finally standing in one room. She walked toward me, slow, as if checking with every step if I'd change my mind. I tried to forget, she said. Tried to stay in the lines. But then I started remembering what it felt like. The first time you looked at me like I was someone. I never stopped, I whispered. Her lip trembled. I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not shiny or easy or uncomplicated. I don't want easy, I said. I want you. She closed the space between us, fast, desperate. Her hands went in my face like she needed proof I was real. My arms wrapped around her like I'd been waiting for this. Not the kiss, not the touch, but the moment we both stopped pretending. We kissed. Finally. And it wasn't perfect. Her breath hitched. I hesitated. We fumbled. But it was real. When we broke apart, she rested her forehead against mine. What now? She asked. Voice raw. Honest. I didn't have a clean answer. The truth was messy. We'll hurt people, I said. They'll talk. They'll judge. She nodded. I've already lost him. My son. He won't understand. I didn't say yet. I didn't lie and promise time would fix it. Instead, I said the one thing I knew for sure. I won't run. She pulled back to look at me. Really look. And she smiled. The smallest, saddest smile I'd ever seen. But it was real. Free. We sat on the couch after that. Her legs tucked beneath her, her head on my shoulder. Neither of us said much. The world outside kept moving. Her phone buzzed again. She turned it off this time. There were no fireworks. No perfect music playing in the background. Just two people who'd stepped off the edge, not knowing if they'd fly or fall. But at least we jumped together. It's been 4 weeks since that night. She didn't go back. People talked, of course. My friend stopped answering my texts the second he found out, which didn't take long. Her husband made sure of that. One message, and the entire story unraveled in their world like a scandal too big to contain. But the truth? It never felt like a scandal from the inside. It felt like two people waking up. We've kept things quiet since. Not because we're hiding anymore, but because we're learning how to be real in a world that keeps trying to flatten us into headlines. She found a place. A small apartment with creaky floors and windows that rattle when the wind picks up. I helped carry the boxes, assemble the bookshelf, argue over where the coffee mug should go. Sometimes it still hits me weird. I'll watch her pouring tea barefoot in the kitchen and forget, for a second, that she was ever someone else to me. That she used to be just a title, my friend's mom, and not this complex, flawed, beautiful woman who now falls asleep with her hand resting against mine. We talk more now. About real things. About the past we didn't know we shared. How she once wanted to study literature, but chose marriage instead. How I've always felt like I was running behind. Too young to matter, too old to be invisible. And slowly, all those feelings, guilt, longing, regret, they've softened into something quieter, something steadier. Love? Maybe, but not the movie kind. Ours is built from messes and broken timelines. From stares held too long, from words we almost didn't say. The other night, She asked me if I ever felt scared about what we gave up to get here. I didn't lie. Yeah, I said. Sometimes. She nodded. Me too. But then she took my hand, the same one she looked at all those weeks ago, and placed it over her heart. And I still wouldn't change it. Neither would I. The world doesn't stop spinning just because you do something wild and honest. People still whisper. Relationships still shift. Some doors stay closed for good, but new ones open too. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you find someone on the other side who isn't waiting for you to be perfect, just willing to meet you where you are. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's everything. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next? Slow burn forbidden love? Age gap second chances? Or something that hurts just enough to stay with you after? Tell me what you'd love to hear, and I'll bring it to life.